So today we are going to cook crab curry. This is a special request by Salil, Lipika, Samar, and Kabir for crab curry. Obviously, we're going to use crab and some other spices and ingredients. Sorry, I'm using a voiceover because I had a microphone, but for the first minute, I forgot to switch it on. So these are the special ingredients. We are going to use curry leaves, that's ginger garlic paste, coriander, chopped garlic, and green chili. Later on, there's also coconut milk that I add, and there is my shredded coconut. So to make the crab curry, we fry the crab in lots of garlic and hot oil. And once it's cooked, which means basically it turns red, we are going to then add it to the rest of the ingredients and cook it. It's very similar to the way we cook
Right. So
prawns.
I tend to use a wok when I'm trying to cook seafood because it gets really hot really fast and it stays hot. So what we're going to do now is, and this is going to splatter and it's going to make some noise. So better to stand slightly back when you're doing it. You can see the smoke's coming out. I'm going to add some curry leaves, some garlic, a little bit more. And now we're going to add the crabs. The recipe is very similar to cooking prawns as well. Instead of prawns, we are using crabs. The rest of the recipe is more or less similar. Let's add all the crab and then I'm going to give it a good stir, and once it's fried, we'll continue with our recipe. Now you can see the crab is almost cooked, as in not fully. With the seafood, no matter what color your crab is, once it starts turning red, it means the meat is more or less cooked. Whilst this was happening, there was a couple of more ingredients that I decided to add. Some onions and tomatoes. And I've also forgot to mention that we're using coconut milk as well for the gravy of the curry. So I'm going to put this away in another bowl, then use the same wok to do the rest of the curry. Right, so Tara has got a new toy, which is why she's going to be in and out of our current dish. So now we fried the crabs. The next we're going to do, Tara, is get the oil heated up and then do what we do with almost every curry. Fry the onions, add the ginger garlic paste. Once they are fried, we then add the tomatoes and some turmeric and some other spices. And then we'll add the crabs. So Tara, I think the oil is now quite hot. So do you want to pass me the onions? And I'll put them in here. You can use both hands. And I can also help you, yeah? Let me help you as well. Let's go, Tara. Let me help you. There you go. I have picked all of them up. And you can pick up the rest. As you can see, onions are being cooked. Now the onions take some time to fry, like every dish. Thank you. So Tara, you can go and play your shops, and I'll call you when we need to add the rest of the things. So the onions need frying, and with crabs, I figured out that if you use the bigger crabs, although not the most authentic crab curry crabs, you get better value for it. The smaller blue swimming crabs, they have much smaller claws and much smaller bodies, so you don't actually get any meat as such, crab meat as such. The bigger crabs, they take a bit of effort to initially cut, but then once cut, they taste really good. And it's also, you get a lot of meat whilst you're actually eating the crab. So once these onions are fried a bit more, we will come back and we'll add the rest of the things such as the ginger garlic paste and the tomatoes at the end with some turmeric. So you can see that the onions are being fried, and we are going to then add the ginger garlic paste, some curry leaves, green chili, which isn't that spicy once you cook it. the tomatoes, and then later on, the grated coconut. The grated coconut adds a very good texture to the food, so I always prefer. And I was telling you about the crab cuts. So let's go have a look. So as I was saying, if you get a crab claw like that, these are big chunks, and obviously I have made some cracks to them. You can see that I've made a crack here, so you can see the crab meat. So you get big chunks and big claws, which is much more value. If you use the smaller blue swimming crabs, they're also very good, but you might not get a significant amount of meat in them. As you can see, while cleaning the crabs, I've also made cracks to the shell, which means all the flavor goes in them. Right, Tara. So our onions are now fried. Can you pass me the ginger garlic paste? There we go. So this is freshly grated ginger garlic paste. I've taken it in a mortar pestle and I've made it a fresh paste. It's much better than buying store-bought paste. Can I also get curry leaves? Just one will do. Just take one and take some of it. Don't use the dried ones. Use fresh ones. They're much better. Now you're going to give this a good fry because this is a wok and not a normal pan. The cooking will be much quicker. And Tara, can I get the tomatoes? You can pick up some. There we go. Add the tomatoes and there we go. Let me pick up the rest. There we go. Let me pick that up. Okay. So Tara, I'm going to cook the tomatoes now. Once the tomatoes are cooked, I'm then going to add my turmeric, a little bit of red chili powder, not much, little bit. Okay, little bit. Do you want to go and continue your game? Okay. So Tara's going to go continue her playing her shop, and once the tomatoes are cooked, we'll add some turmeric and then the usual Indian mix of coriander powder, cumin powder, little bit of garam masala, and then we will come back. As you can see the curry leaves. The curry leaves give a really good smell and taste to it. The onions, the ginger garlic, because it's fresh ginger garlic, I can smell it. The flavors are really good. And once this is cooking, and the tomatoes need to be soft, so you can see here, these ones, they need to crush very easily. As you can see, it's not crushing. So once they start crushing easily, you can say that your tomatoes have been cooked. Right, the tomatoes have been cooked, and I'm going to use some of my regular spices. Turmeric always goes in first before adding red chili powder because then you get more redness. I'll show you once it's in. Turmeric is in. Let's add red chili powder, a little bit. That's a little bit for me. Then coriander powder, and the cumin should be half of the coriander. 2 spoons of coriander means 1 spoon of cumin. Little bit of garam masala, but you need to add more towards the end. It goes in my drawer, my spice drawer, and then we're going to stir it, and I'll show you how it looks. So as you can see, now they are being cooked, and just keep in mind they shouldn't go dry because then they will burn, and if they burn, well, then it will taste burnt. You don't want that. It's been cooking. I'm going to lower the flame so that they don't get burned. And once they are cooked slightly, I'm going to add the grated coconut, followed by the crabs, and then the coconut milk. Then our good old salt. Cover it, leave it for a while, and your crab curry is pretty much done. Right, so we are going to add the grated coconut now. Oops, not like that. That's fine, don't worry. Yeah, don't add the pan to it. Now, Tara, can we add the crabs? So I'm going to bring the crabs, then we're going to add it, okay? You can stand here. No problem. Should we add the crabs? Should Bobby add the crabs? Or do you want to help me? Go 1, 2, bye-bye crabs.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Can I buy?
You can go and play. There we go. Right. When you're adding the grated coconut, just keep in mind not to add the cup in which it is stored, because then that could possibly change the definition of a crab curry. So what we're going to do now is give this a good mix. Make sure that all the spices, let me bring it here, make sure all the spices get into the crab, because that's why we've made those cracks in the shell. So I can't stir it well because I'm holding the phone with one hand. And I'll give it a good stir. And once it's stirred, we are going to add our coconut milk. So let me do that. I'm also going to add my green chili at this point. I've just kept it whole. I just made a slit in it. And then once the crab is sort of nicely cooked and the coconut is beginning to brine slightly. Oh, wow, this is smelling good. One tip that I learned when I was in my seafood cooking class is whenever you're buying seafood or fish, it should not smell of fish. It should not smell fishy. It should sort of smell of the sea. And while buying shellfish, I was told, and I think this is a pretty valid thing, that crabs or lobsters should feel heavier than they look. If you look at a crab and you feel like, this should weigh about 400 grams, and you pick it up and it feels heavier, that is a sign of a good crab. Now, this has been cooked. I'm going to add my coconut milk. I might need to add one more. So I'll do that. And a good old salt. Now, salt, the way I do it is, I just make one round. It's basically salt to taste, but I would say about 3 tablespoons of salt. That should do it. But just make sure you don't add so much that you end up getting sodium-related issues because of my crab curry. There we go. I'm going to give it a nice stir. This is beginning to look like a crab curry now. This is the aim of this video. And I'm going to add one more can of coconut milk. I'm going to open that up, add one more can of coconut milk, and then cover it and cook it for about 10 to 15 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes to begin with, and then we'll see how it looks. So now we are almost there with it, and Tara is going to do the final parts, which is adding curry leaves, coriander, and then we're going to cover it. Go on. Good. Can you add the coriander? Only the coriander, not the bowl. No, don't drop the bowl in. That's fine, don't worry. There we go. Yay, successful. Give it a stir. I'll just show how it looks. There we go. And we are now basically taking this ladle off. Give it a good mix. And put that lid on top. And that is going to go on there for about 10 minutes. And then during that 10 minutes, Sarah, we can play shops. Okay. There we go. 10 minutes countdown start. And after 10 minutes, we'll see how it looks. Right. It's 10 minutes. And it's done. Basically, in seafood, anything which is red, it means it's a sign of done. So, Tara, what do you think of it?
Good.
You want to eat now?
Yeah.
But it's lunchtime and this is for dinner.
Oh.
What do you want to do?
Oh, yeah. Play game.
You want to play shops?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say bye-bye?
Bye-bye. See you next time.
Okay. You go set up shops and I'm coming.
Say no.
Okay. Well, shops is already set up. So we need to go play shops. But I'll just show you how it looks. Coming. Right. So this is how it looks. And it's done. And we'll see you next time with another recipe. Bye-bye.